Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So today we're going to be talking about what I have been watching for the month of March. As usual, I have my notes over here because if I don't, I will forget what I'm talking about. But something weird is happening with the setup, and it won't set up right over here. I don't know why. So I might end up having to take this off and just look at it like down here, which I don't like doing, but what are you gonna do? Hopefully it doesn't fall. But anyway, I also want to mention that my dad is outside working on our side project. So it requires the saw to be used, and it's very random, so I can't tell him to stop doing whatever he's doing just so I can record. And I don't want to do that because I am really glad that he's working on stuff right now. So if you hear like a little saw sound in the background every once in a while, I'm sorry. I hope it's not too distracting. But anyway, let's get into the movies and shows that I've been watching this last month. Okay, so the very first thing that I want to talk about, which I don't even want to talk about it, I actually just finished watching it this afternoon. And let's just get into it. Okay, so it is Peaky Blinders, Immortal Man. It was on Netflix. It was in the theaters, but then 2 weeks later it came on Netflix. Thank God, because I have been waiting for this movie for literal years. So Rotten Tomatoes score gave it a 91. Audience score gave it an 89. Whatever 89. Okay. It stars Cillian Murphy, Stephen Graham, Barry Keoghan. Is that how you say his name? I don't know. There's a lot of people in the movie. If you have not seen the show Peaky Blinders, do not watch Immortal Man because it will mean absolutely nothing to you. It'll mean nothing to you because you won't understand anything. So I highly recommend watching Peaky Blinders because it's one of my all-time favorite shows. I know I don't really talk about it a lot like I do The Office, or Stranger Things, stuff like that, but Peaky Blinders, oh, it's up there, man. I have watched it at least 7, maybe 8 times. So let's get into this movie. Okay, so it's been many years since the show. I believe it is like 1940, something like that, because the show originally starts in 1919, but the movie is fast forwarded past all of the things. It starts in 1940, and Thomas Shelby, the main character, he is no longer running the Peaky Blinders. Everything in his life has just been like, ugh. So he took a step back, and he's just by himself. He's trying to figure himself out, trying to fight his inner demons, that kind of thing. And now there's a new war going on. It's 1940. I mean, so he really kind of retreats inside, and he has decided that he is going to be writing a book. And you're like, what? Thomas Shelby is writing a book? This is crazy. So his son, not his son who he had with, I can't think of her name, but his second wife, not that son, but it's his oldest son who he, in the later season, learned that he had with this gypsy woman or whatever, when he was very young, and she died, but he went to war and didn't know that she was pregnant. This is all in the show or whatever. But anyway, so his eldest son, who is Barry Keoghan, I know I'm not saying that right, is running the Peaky Blinders. And he is doing it like straight, just awful. Like, when Tommy was in charge, people respected him. He was very smart and strategic, and yeah, he was a bad guy. He, was a criminal, that kind of thing. But he had class, and people respected him. The people in the town, they were like, oh, Peaky Blinders, respect. But his son is in charge, and he is not running it the same way, and Ada, his sister, comes to talk to him, and she's like, bro, you gotta do something about your son, because he is just running around like a maniac, and also the son has a very shady deal, and he's working, remember where this is 1940s, he is working with the Nazis. Are you kidding me? What? He's working with the Nazis, and he himself is a gypsy? Are you kidding me? Nazis killed gypsies. Like, anyway, and so once Tommy finds out what's really going on, he's like, I gotta go take care of some stuff, I don't want to give too much away. I just want to say that it was just shock after shock after shock, and then just depression. I just kept saying no, and I was like, oh, no, because certain things happened that I'm like, I don't understand, because the Thomas Shelby that I know this sounds weird, like I actually know this person, but I've watched this show so much that it's like these people are real to me, The Thomas Shelby that I know would never have done what they said he did. I don't believe it. And the fact that he did it, I was just like, no. You don't know how many times I was yelling at the TV saying, no, nope, no, because I could not believe the things that I was seeing. I was just like, no. But anyway, like I said, shock, depression. And then it's like, it's so good that it's like, you know what? Let's go again. Season 1, episode 1, let's go. I actually started watching season 1, episode 1 today, because I was so, I don't want to let it go. I don't want to let it go. I feel like I like this more than I like Stranger Things, because Stranger Things, the way that the finale ended and stuff, it was so intense for me that I was just like, I can't even talk about it. I don't want to see any of the characters because I'm too emotionally crushed, With Peaky Blinders, Immortal Man, I literally had tears rolling down my face. Like, I wasn't sobbing or anything, but it was like tears. And I was just like, okay, let's go again. Just go back to the season 1, episode 1, because I don't want this to be over, And it might not be over, because technically it could continue on. It's just, it won't be the same, It just won't be the same. And if you've seen it, you understand. You understand what I'm talking about. Do I recommend it? 100% yes. 100% yes. But I only recommend it if you have seen the series. only if you've seen the series. And if you've never seen the series, what are you doing? Get on that. Get on it, because it is so good. So good. Anyway, I'm done talking about that because I don't want to get emotional. Okay, the next thing that I watched was a movie on Apple TV, and it is called Eternity. It stars Miles Teller, Elizabeth Olsen, and Cullum Turner. Rotten Tomato score gave it a 76%. Audience score gave it a 90%. I liked it. I really liked it. So, what is it about? Well, it's about dying. It starts out with this very old couple, and they're just doing their life or whatever, and then the old man dies. And when he dies, he goes to, I guess, an in-between place. He doesn't go to heaven or anything like that, but he doesn't go to hell either. But he goes to this in-between place where he finds out that he gets to choose where he spends eternity. And it's kind of like a travel agency. You go up and they're like, look at this, look at these, look at all these places. This is what happens here, blah, 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 blah. But once you make your choice, that's it. It's for eternity. There's no turning back, okay? And he's like, okay, that's cool, but my wife isn't here, so I want to wait for my wife to die so that we can choose an eternity together. And everything is great in the beginning, but once he says that and he has to wait there longer than, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks, something, I don't know how long the decision period is, they take him out of his amazing fancy room and they put him in this like steerage, Titanic steerage type area, and things aren't so nice anymore, but he's like, I'll deal with it. He gets some type of job or something as he waits for his wife. Well, guess what? His wife isn't very, he doesn't have to wait long because his wife shows up, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're here. And he's like, I know, we get to pick eternity and blah, 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 blah. And then he takes her to like a bar or whatever, and there was this bartender that he became friends with or whatever. And he takes her to this bar, and he's trying to explain to her, we get to stay here, and then we get to choose, and blah, 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 blah. And who does she see? The bartender guy, who just so happens to be her first husband. What? So she was married before she was married to this man. Her first husband was in the war, and he died in battle. And when he died, he waited for her for decades. Because he loved her. And she, like, her heart just explodes and her stomach sinks because this is her first real love standing in front of her. He waited so long, and she's just like, oh my gosh, because she's so in love with him. And then here's her husband, and she's like, oh my gosh, because she has two husbands, and she can't spend eternity with both of them because that would be weird, So this whole time, she has to kind of decide, which husband am I going to choose, and where will we spend eternity? And it's just, it's a very interesting, different movie, which I loved because it's unpredictable. But it's also like, these are hard choices, like, what if that were to happen, and your first true love, who died, by the way, is there, and your heart just explodes, with just like, oh my gosh, and then you're also there with your husband, who you've spent your entire life with, who you have children with, who you actually do love and were in love and you've spent a lifetime together, what do you do? What do you do? You know? Because you love both of them. I don't know. It was a really good movie, and I liked it. I recommend it. Okay, the next thing that I watched was a show on Amazon, and it is called 56 Days. 56 Days. It stars Dove Cameron, which I remember her from Liv and Maddie. I loved Liv and Maddie. I loved it. And then Avon Jogia, I don't know how you say his name, but he was on Victorious. So these are like Disney stars, okay? Rotten Tomatoes score gave it a 62. Audience score gave it a 77. And those are the scores as of this recording. They could have gone up, they could have gone down, I don't know. But I think that it deserved a little bit higher rating. But this is a show that you must watch alone. If you have kids, don't watch it around them. Don't. The reason, because you see these Disney stars having a lot of sex. Like, I mean, it's pretty intense. Like, what? Okay. But besides that, like, I could have done without that, you know? The story is actually very interesting. It's like, well, it's like kind of like suspenseful mystery type thing. So these two people meet and have a very intense relationship. But let's see, what did I write? Both of them have a dark secret. And it changes the mood, you know? At first you think he's got something to hide and he's scary, and then you realize, whoa, does she have something to hide? Is she the scary one? And you don't know who is more scary or mysterious, you know? So you're constantly like jumping around, like watching him, watching her. What the hell is going on? Let's see. And they are together for 56 days. And you learn very quickly that at the end of the 56 days, someone is dead. And they keep going back and forth to like present time, past, like showing you. The present time is really looking into the investigation of the murder, and they're trying to figure out who died, because the body is so messed up that they can't tell. And then they're just solving this murder, these two detectives or whatever. But then you also see the relationship part, and it's like, what is going on? It is so unpredictable. And I kind of like, maybe 3/4 of the way through, I was like, I think I got this figured out. Which I kind of did, but I only had one part of it figured out. Everything else was just like, I don't know. What is going on here? And you know I love unpredictability. So I liked it. And the husband, he looked so familiar. Not the husband, the guy. He looked so familiar. Now he was in Victorious. Was it Victorious or Victoria Justice? I don't remember. But besides that, because he was a kid when he was and he's like a man, you know. But then I realized he's Halsey's husband. Did they get married? Either he's her husband or her fiance. I don't know. But I knew him through Halsey, you know, because I follow Halsey on TikTok because I love Halsey. Anyway, okay. The next thing that I watched was a movie, and I did watch it in the movie theater. We watched it during spring break, and it is called Hoppers. Now, I really had no idea what this movie was about, and I wasn't my hopes weren't up because it's a kid movie and they had no other movies available during spring break except that or like make adult things, you know. But anyway, okay, so Hoppers stars Bobby Monahan, John Hamm, Meryl Streep, Dave Franco, like a billion other people. But come on, all those people, amazing. Rotten Tomato score gave it a 93%. Audience score gave it a 94%. And I gotta say, I agree. This was a Disney movie. A Disney, I think it was Pixar. I don't know. And I didn't have high hopes because, I don't know, for several years, Disney Pixar movies and or just Disney movies in general have just been like, I'm just not impressed. Changed my mind because this movie was amazing and I thought it was hilarious. So what is the movie about? Okay, so scientists have discovered how to hop human consciousness into realistic robots, realistic robot animals, allowing people to communicate with animals. And let's see, I'm trying to read my notes here. So it's so funny, but the main character is like this young college student, and she finds out that this wildlife area is basically going to be torn down to build a highway to save people, I don't know, 6 minutes or something on their commute. And she's like, what the hell, you know, all these. Anyway, so she talks to her professors who are like into wildlife and stuff. She's like, we gotta do something. And then she follows one of them and she goes to look at these animals, you know, trying to find a specific animal, because if there's a specific animal there, they can't tear everything down and build the highway, whatever. But then they see, she goes down there and she sees this one animal and she's like, wow, that's the animal that I need, you know. So but then she sees the animal act very strangely, like crawl around, leave, hop into a van, and then go to her college, enter the building, and she's like, what the hell is going on? And it turns out it's one of her professors, and she sees the hopping thing, and she is just like, what is happening? Because this robotic animal is so realistic. You can pick it up, it makes animal sounds, it looks and feels, and it's like an animal. It's like, how do they do it? I don't know. They show you like prototypes and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, and so she's like, this is it. This is how I'm gonna be able to whatever. So she somehow, you know, hops and she becomes maybe a beaver. I don't know. You know how I'm the worst at remembering things. I think she's a beaver. And then she goes because she wants to talk to the animals and tell them, yo, this is happening, blah, 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 blah. Because she can talk to them. They can understand her and she can understand them. I don't know. It's crazy. And then she realizes that there's a whole hierarchy and like things. And it's like, it literally opens up a whole new world for her. And it, like, her mind is blown, you know. It's really, really cool. And it's funny. And would I watch it again? 100%. It is so good. So good. I loved it. Okay. The next thing that I watched was a movie on Amazon. I don't know if it's on Amazon, like Paramount Plus or MGM. I don't know. I just remember that I watched it on Amazon. And it was, I don't want to say it was recommended to me. It was told to me by my aunt, because I told her that I had watched some scary movie and I can't even remember the name of it, but me and the kids were having like a slumber party type thing, and we were watching a scary movie, but the movie wasn't scary, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was so bad that doesn't even deserve to be talked about because it was awful. And I had told my aunt that it was awful, and she's like, have you ever seen this movie? And I was like, no, I've never heard of it. She's like, oh, it's interesting. And so I was like, okay. So I watched it the night she told me. And she is accurate. It is interesting. I don't even know if I can talk about it on the channel without being canceled, okay? Okay, so this movie on Amazon something is called Blink Twice. It stars Naomi Ackel, Channing Tatum, Christian Slater, Simon Rex. Rotten Tomatoes score gave it a 74. Audience score gave it a 71. And I think it got mid reviews because it's like, okay, was it a good movie? Yeah. Was the acting great? Sure was. The movie as a whole, if you have seen this movie, you know exactly. I don't like the topic. I'm gonna try and say what it's about without saying what it's about. So a tech billionaire who's Channing Tatum meets this caterer. She's catering some fancy rich pants, whatever, and then her and her caterer friend dress up as one of the richies, you know, and is like walking around, and yeah, so Channing Tatum like meets this caterer when she's dressed as a richie, and sparks fly because it's Channing Tatum, right? So he invites her and her friend to his private island for a vacation. It's amazing. It's like the best vacation ever. And it's the kind of vacation that you don't ever want to end. And it goes on for such a long time. It's like, dude, what day is it? I don't even know because we've been here for so long. But it's amazing, right? Then some strange things start to happen, but they're very subtle. And even when you're watching it, you have no idea. You're like, that's weird. What is going on here? I don't know. Anyway, this is cool. But more strange things start to happen. And this girl starts to question her own reality. And so do you as you're watching this. Something isn't right. And it's extremely shocking, and I did not like how I felt watching this movie. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Will I ever watch this movie again? No. Never again. Never again. Now, does that mean that the movie was bad? No. The acting was good. Everything was good, except what was happening in the movie. It was so shocking and bad that I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to go there. Okay? So, we're just going to leave that there cuz I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. Would I recommend it? I don't think that I would. Just because it's so like, what the actual, like, oh my god. Channing Tatum. Okay. Alright, the next thing that I watched was a movie on Amazon. And it's actually a documentary. Now, it might be controversial. Is that the word? I don't know. Because, sorry, that was a loud little pop. It was just, my finger was hurting. I guess depending on what your stance is politically. Just because I watch this doesn't mean that I support. It doesn't mean it. I'm just going to tell you what I watched, okay? It was a documentary called Melania, and I'm sure you've seen the trailer for it. It obviously stars Melania Trump, the First Lady. Listen to these scores. Just listen. Rotten Tomato score gave it an 11. I guess I know where Rotten Tomatoes stands. Audience score gave it a 98. The majority of people who watch it probably have another opinion. But I don't support Trump. I just don't. I'm not going to get into it. But I agree with the 98%, and I will explain why. But what is this documentary about? It is about behind the scenes 20 days, the 20 days leading up to the 2025 presidential inauguration through Melania Trump perspective. I thought it was amazing. Okay, like, you have no idea. I mean, I'm sure, if you've seen it, you get it. But I have so much respect for this woman. And not just this woman, all first ladies. All first ladies. But I do respect her because she never wanted this. This is not what she signed up for, and she was kind of like forced to be the first lady, and if you don't want to do it, can you imagine the stress? Okay. But so I have incredible respect for her because she does everything. Now, there was a camera on her, so I'm sure it was rehearsed and approved and stuff like that. But she does everything with like grace and elegance, and she wants everything to be right. Not just for her, not just for Trump, but for the American people. And I respect that so much, and people don't, I guess if you're into politics, you know about the stuff that she does and the things that she supports. Now, I don't know negative things about her because I don't be into politics like that, I'm just basing everything off of this documentary, so, but she just does everything, like, and I had no idea about all the things that she does for America and children, and just, like, it's really cool. It's interesting, but it's really cool to see things through her perspective, because she is the first lady, and even when you're not the first lady, you still are, because this is 20 days up until the inauguration. Is that how you say that? Inauguration? I don't know. Your job starts before that, but she's so busy, which I'm sure all first ladies are. She's so busy. She has so many things going on, that she has to hire multiple assistants to assist her doing this job. Oh yeah, that's right. She gets to hire people and pay them when she herself doesn't get paid at all for a 24-hour-a-day job. I am not okay with that. Not just for Melania Trump, but, hold on. Sorry, I had to cough. Not just for Melania Trump, but for all first ladies. I think it is such bull that they're expected to do all of these things, which I had no idea. They had to do all these things up until before their husband becomes the president. But they have to do all these things. But this is before the husband becomes the president. I cannot imagine what life is like during the presidency. Like, oh my gosh, I loved it, and I'm upset, and I think that it's wrong, and it's like, if I was the first lady, I would sure be talking to the president and being like, hey, can we put in some legislation or some laws or something that can change my situation? Because if I'm doing all this stuff that takes over my whole entire life, 24 hours a day pretty much, I would like to get something. Can I get some money for that? Because I think first ladies deserve everything. Because regardless of who you support or you don't support, a lot of the presidents are messed up, and especially Melania. Come on, she's married to Donald Trump. Regardless of politics, just throw that to the side. Donald Trump as a person is a lot. I mean, she chose to be married to him, so there's something going on there. But she has to deal with being married to this person who is a lot, on top of him being the president, which is a lot, on top of being first lady herself and having all these responsibilities. Why are they not getting paid? Why? That is not right, and it makes me mad. So somebody needs to do something about that. I don't know who's in charge of that, but that needs to be changed. Like, it ain't right, Anyway, I love this documentary so much because it like opened my eyes to a lot of things that I didn't know about, and I think that every first lady should do what Melania Trump did. Not even, it could be up until the inauguration or during the presidency or something. I liked that, and I think that every first lady should do that, because if people watch the documentary, that will show, it'll open up the, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I had so much respect for her now because of what I've seen. It's not that I didn't respect for her before, I didn't really know anything about her. But now my opinion of her has changed. Now again, it's only based off of this documentary. I don't know anything about her personal life or her history or any of that. I don't know none of that. But regardless of that, based off this documentary, I have so much respect for her and all first ladies. All of them. Like, it was, to me, it was like really mind-blowing. But anyway, that is all of the things that I watched this month. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you soon.